Hello everybody, and welcome back to the ranch. Dr. Uptown here. We have a pistol that was brought to us with a misfiring issue, and what has happened according to the owner is it will, on the first round, it will click when he pulls the trigger. However, upon inspection of the brass, it doesn't appear that it's been dimpled in any fashion. So he was wanting us to take a look at it, and he said it's an intermittent problem with it. I did take it out and test fired it, and what I found was that I had no misfires, so I was unable to recreate the problem. So what we're going to do is just do a field strip on this and clean it up and see if that resolves any issues with it. Once we're done, we will take it out and do quite a bit of test firing with it, maybe run 100 rounds or so through it and see what we come up with. So anyway, to start with, on the Ruger, we need to remove the magazine. This particular one, like I say, is a Mark I, which you don't see a whole lot of anymore as far as available for sale new. There are probably millions of them out there, however, and they are still available to find around in the used market. To start with, we're just going to flip this lever up off the back strap. As we pull this lever forward, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it or not, but as we pull this lever forward and then down, there is a small pin that rides right in the middle here. That is what spring loads, I believe, your hammer. And typically, see if we can get a decent picture of it in here. It's this lever right here. I don't know if it's going to show up well on the camera or not, but once you get it apart, you'll see it. The only significance to that part is once we get ready to reassemble it, it's kind of particular as to where that part goes. Now, one thing I did notice on this particular pistol is it is very, very stiff. Guess we do want to. So what we're probably going to have to do is give it a few taps with a rubber mallet and see if we can get it to break off, which we do. Like I say, some of them will be stiff, some of them won't. Upon just preliminarily looking here, this is really dirty inside, so I'm suspecting that just some dirt issues may be part of our problem. Same with the bolt. It's really pretty gummy in there. As you can see, like I say, we got grease built up here and all kinds of stuff. So what we're going to do is just brake momentarily and do a little cleanup work on it first, and we'll get right back with you. One of the things we're going to do as we do clean up here is we're going to remove the recoil spring out and clean up underneath it. As you may or may not be able to see from this camera shot is it's really gummed up underneath it. Underneath that, what you do have is the firing pin itself. And we'll go ahead and see if we can maneuver that out as well. We remove the retaining pin out. We've got that out. It should lift out. And you'll see that small spring there too. We want to make sure and keep that. So we're going to clean all of these parts up, polish them up, and get all of that dirt and grime out of there. And then reassemble it back together. Okay, now that we've got the bolt assembly back all cleaned up and polished, we're going to see about getting this all back together. We'll start with the spring for the firing pin. Have to get our pinholes lined up. Do that with our punch. We'll follow that back in place with the actual firing pin, retaining pin. And then we'll come in with our recoil spring, put it back into place. Just check the function real quick of our firing pin, which seems to be working well. We'll follow that up with just a couple of drops of lubrication or CLP. Let that run down in there. Just touch this spring a little bit with a little CLP. Operate it to give it some good function. And then the next thing we'll do is move on to the barrel. It's going to be just straightforward barrel cleaning and receiver cleaning. And like I say, as you can see, it's covered in grease and goop and typical carbon that's left over from the firing process. So we'll get that all cleaned up and run a bore snake down through that bore, and we'll come back with you again. Okay, we've progressed over to the receiver. The first thing we've gone ahead and done is removed our grip panels from the sides, and the main reason is just going to be because I'm not real sure how any cleaning solution is going to affect those. They are the plastic grips. So what we're going to do is go ahead and hose this off and get in there with a brush and clean most of this gunk out. See what we can come up with. Okay, so we're back, and what we have done up to this point is gone ahead and cleaned up our receiver. Interestingly, I didn't realize that this receiver on these is a stamped receiver, but it is a stamped metal receiver, or at least it appears to be anyway. We've got all of our internal frame parts cleaned up. What we'll do is, as we go ahead and assemble, we'll just drop some lube in here and there. We've got our upper receiver and our entire bolt assembly cleaned up. So all that's left now to do is just basically reassemble. Like I say, we are going to just do some spot lubrication as we go on the areas that have the moving parts. Make sure that everything's lubed up nice and still running fine. We'll go ahead and just take a lube cloth and kind of run through the inside. Some additional protection from rust and corrosion. Nothing real heavy, just a wipe down. We'll keep that handy. We'll go over the outside of the frame once we're ready to do that. First thing I'll do is go ahead and reinstall our grip panels back in place. There was no rust on this pistol, however there was lots of dirt and grime and carbon built up, so I'm suspecting that that is probably going to be our issue with this particular firearm. Like I say, this one is a Mark I, so it is an oldie but a goodie, and actually in exceptionally good condition. Like I say, no rust at all. Not even on the grip screws, places like that that tend to pick up a little bit just simply because they're seldom, if ever, removed. Go ahead and swipe under this grip panel. We want to continue any rust prevention that's taking place with this pistol. So once we've got that done, we'll just go ahead and, like I say, wipe down the exterior of this frame again. Not leave any parts unprotected. Say really nice, pretty much intact bluing on this. The barrel has a little bit of bluing wear, and then down at the bottom of the grip here, just a small amount. Again, on the barrel and receiver, we're going to just give it a good external wipe down. I'm not overly familiar with the Ruger Mark pistols. I know they're basically all kind of a target type setup. So I would imagine that the sights that are on this one are pretty much standard sights. The barrel is real nice and clean, no pitting at all in it. Well, make sure the breech face is nice and clean before we assemble this back together. Now, reassembly, there's a little notch right here that goes into the front of the receiver right there. You just lay it in place, and the barrel should go back into place there. Now, it may not be all the way back. We're just going to give it a little tap on the end, since we do have to tap this one to get it apart. I do notice on this one, particular one, we did go ahead and run this through the polisher, but it does have a couple of little dings in it. I don't know exactly what that's from or when that happened to it, but putting the polish on it certainly brought those into bear. Now, just looking through the bolt stop pinhole here to make sure everything's pretty much in alignment. Like I say, again, bring this in close and see if we can see this little bar. This little bar right here was what I was talking about. And when we get ready to do the reassembly, this is kind of that piece that I was telling you kind of plays kind of a critical situation here, depending on how this thing goes. Anyway, to finish up the reassembly, your bolt stop pin goes in the back here. And like I say, since this is not wanting to go, I'm going to say that we're just slightly out of alignment here. So we'll go ahead and wrap that a little harder into place and see if that solved our alignment issue. What I've done with this pin is I've tried to leave it up again, laying up against this pin just like it would be right now, trying to keep it out of the way. There we go. Our bolt stop pin has gone into place, and then what will happen is once it pops into place, this cams forward, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, because what you want to do is turn the pin over, and again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but what will happen is that pin we were just discussing will fall forward into this cam, and as you push this into place, it will cam into where it belongs. Now you'll know that it's there because this will have a little bit of a spring loading to it if it's in the right position. You move it forward and we're back assembled. I'll pull you back out here now that we're done with all of that. But like I say, we have good bolt function, we have good trigger function. When we're in the fire position, our safety goes up and prevents firing, and it also prevents cycling of the bolt. Now one thing we did notice, again, this bolt did seem to be a bit sticky, which we seem to have taken care of that problem. So what we'll need to do now is take this out to the range and get some serious test firing on it and see if we result in any problem. Of course, then what I'll have to do is come back and re-disassemble it, re-clean it up for another. We clean it back up for the owner before I give it back to him. But I think just a good cleaning has probably solved our issues. So we'll take that and take it out to the range and give you guys a report from the range on it and see how it's shooting. But until then, I hope you guys find this interesting. We'll talk to you later. You have a good day.